All right. It looks like we're live. Um,
So in that case, hi. This is Fantasy for the Ages, the I guess streamed show now where a father and son sit down and talk about fantasy, something like that. I'm the son here, Zach, and that's my dad. He looks confused. I'm pointing the wrong way. Um, Mirroring is weird.
all right. I was distracted already dealing with tech stuff. So,
What'd you do?
no, we're all good. I was just making sure this was working right. I'll explain about that more. But you already said who you were, right?
Yeah,
Okay. Well, yes, I am, as you said, the father, Jim. It's great to have you with us here for our first ever live stream.
as you
As
can tell, there are some hiccups, but we're figuring them out.
That's right. That's right. Before we talk about why we're gathered here today,
Yes.
Zach, how you doing?
I'm doing pretty well. Still figuring out how to be not cold as it gets a little colder. I know people make fun of me, including my girlfriend, as I bundle up and it's only like 50. But I have very little insulation. How
That's
are you,
true.
Dad?
Better insulated and not so cold. Um, Up here in the Pacific Northwest of the US, it's 46 degrees today. It's rainy. It's
Boo.
normal for this time of year, and it feels just fine. Of course, I do have the heat in the house going. It's comfortable. Yeah. Uh, what are you drinking today, Zach? We always ask that on these podcasts, and even though it's a live stream, we got to keep up with forms.
Well, we always ask that, and sometimes I deliver. Sometimes I don't. And that's today. I'm not actually drinking anything yet. I don't know
Oh,
if that's just because it feels like midday and I don't want to be drinking, or if it's I'll just get there when I get there. But I didn't get around to picking something to drink today.
well, I won't be too judgy because I'm drinking water. I
Oh,
figured
so you
as
also
I
let us
yeah,
down.
as I try to navigate making sure our live stream works right with our first time, I figured I shouldn't impair my judgment. I can stick
is
to
this
something clear.
is this our first ever completely sober episode of Fantasy for the Ages?
I guess that would be the case. I wonder if they'll be able to tell the difference. Hey, Emmeline, welcome to the live stream. We've got somebody with us. We've got a few people jumping in here now to watch.
Mm-hmm.
And Emmeline's one of our regular Discord supporters and participants. Great to have you here. So, as we are here, our first live stream, you know, that's kind of a misnomer. I mean, we've both been part of live streams before. Just
Yes, but this is the first one we are running.
right, right. The other people handled all the technical side. We just got to show up and yak. So this
And
time we're trying to do both.
definitely. We've been very grateful to any and everyone who has ever hosted a live stream that we had to have no part in the technical aspect. Because it is a challenge, as we're seeing and learning today.
But it's not too bad. I think we'll get the hang of this pretty quick. And I should say, I'll get the hang of this because you're just doing the same thing you do when you're on other people's live streams.
Oh, yeah. I'm doing nothing different yet.
So we do ask if you're with us live here, and we stumble along a little with some of the tech, go easy on us just a little bit.
That being said, if and when my dad says something at all controversial, please come after him. And if I say something controversial, you can also come after me. I will not see it right now. I do not have the chat up. That's
Ah,
on me.
well, I'll make sure any good comment shows up on the screen and you'll be able to see
Ooh,
it then, Zach.
perfect.
I have those tools. But
He's
yes,
got
our
the power.
content should still be right on. That will be our goal. So, speaking of content, our primary focus for today's live stream is to talk
Yes.
about what we're looking forward to with Amazon Prime's The Wheel of Time television series, which is
Am
just
I
around the corner.
am I allowed to say everything?
Well, I'm going to clarify specifically on that in just a moment. So, that was a good question, a very fair question, and people listening or watching to this will want to know that answer as well. But, about this TV series, This has been awaited a long time. I mean, there were rumors and news of this all the way back in 2018, maybe even 2017. Definitely by
Mm-hmm.
2018, we knew this was in the works, that it was coming. And then COVID came, slowed it down, built up the anticipation that much more. We're all
Mm-hmm.
really excited that now, literally, as we do this live stream, it's less than 2 weeks away that the first 3 episodes are going to drop.
Thank goodness.
I know. I'm so excited about finally the first episodes of this 15 season long epic award winning TV show. Okay, we can't say it's going to be 15 seasons. That's just being hopeful. I
It'd be
doubt it would ever
nice,
go
but
that long.
these things have a tendency to fizzle out after, I don't know, 6, 7 seasons, and I don't want that to happen with this.
With such great source material, I think we can get 8. I think we can get 8 out of this. But I don't doubt that based on everything we've been seeing in the advanced information, the teasers, the trailers, press releases, magazine articles, that this is going to win some awards. This truly is going to be a top quality, epic television production. So pretty excited about that. Now I'm going to take the audio from this live stream and put it as a regular podcast episode too. So if people are listening to this when it drops in our regular feed, it's just 2 days before November 19th when the TV show goes live.
That's when we're dropping this one?
We're going to drop it November 17th. Yeah, just before. So talking about this, okay, you asked what can you talk about, how are we going to go into this. Our podcast focuses on a spoiler light approach to digging into the Wheel of Time, and we're currently halfway through The Dragon Reborn. So I believe in this live stream we are free to talk about any TV things related to the content that's through halfway up to The Dragon Reborn, plus anything that's already been revealed by Amazon in the trailers, the teasers about the show. We should not talk about what do these things mean for the length of the series and reveal big spoilers. We won't do that because that's not what we do. Does that make sense?
We're going to play that little safe line that is very agonizing to tread across, but we won't go far past it.
That makes sense to me. All right. Now, sometimes I know you feel when we try these sorts of things of not blowing the spoilers. So I just do want to mention that we are live, Zach. So no pressure.
So no pressure at all. If I mess something up, we'll definitely fix it in post, except for anyone who happens to see it live. And there is no post; it won't get fixed.
Okay. Well, first question then.
Okay.
How do you plan to actually consume the first 3 episodes? I'll tell this too, but I want to hear your answer first.
See, this is an interesting conundrum because
Ooh,
I found
nice
out
word.
I sometimes have those. I found out that I could theoretically see this in just over a week, at least the first 2. Because
that's right. Austin is one of the places with the premiere.
Monday, Austin, in the theater that I consider my theater, the one that I would actually go see things at, the Alamo Draft House, same theater that I went and saw the most recent Bond movie in, is one of the places where they're premiering the first 2 of these episodes this Monday. So not this Monday, but like the next one.
Right.
I'm probably actually not going to do that, just because going at night when I have to work early the next morning for this thing, like, it doesn't feel like something I necessarily want to do. Should I do it? Would I enjoy doing it? Absolutely. Will I do it?
Man,
probably
there are
not.
Wheel of Time fans all over the place going, are you kidding?
Oh yeah,
it's right there, and you're just saying,
would kill for my opportunity, and I'm going, but then I have to deal with crowds of people. Sure, it's like-minded nerds, but I want to be able to consume this in the privacy of my own home. I won't get the large screen, I won't get the great sound system, but I'll get the comfort of cuddling up on a couch.
There you go. I don't have the temptation you have. I'm in suburban Portland, Oregon. The closest live premiere is up in Seattle. So,
Mm,
good 3 hours away from where I live. So, not really a temptation so much, but I actually feel the same way you do. I'm looking forward to consuming this in the privacy of my home with no distractions, no issues around. I'm just going to sit there, me and a big screen, maybe some popcorn. I don't know about that, but I'm
mm.
definitely just going to want to watch and go straight through it.
Well,
Experience it the way they wanted us to receive it, and then probably watch it again. I
mm.
will definitely watch it all three of these episodes at least twice the first day, because I'll watch once in the morning. I've adjusted some work schedule so I can watch them early in the day, and then I'll watch them again in the evening with your mother when she's home. Because she's read all the way through, halfway
Mhm.
through The Dragon Reborn now. She is ready for this TV show. So we'll watch it together then. But I might have squeezed in another watching before she gets home. We'll see.
That's intense. I have not moved my work schedule. I will be watching them that first night. But I also will probably only watch them once until I've seen the rest of the season. Uh, you're absolutely right. I will probably regret not going if I don't. But like, no, you're just right.
you know, so we saw Jordan with his comment, but Emmeline has another suggestion here. You could kind of blend both your thoughts.
That's interesting. I wonder, could
That's
I take a
right.
nice cozy? Would they let me bring a weighted blanket in? That'd be really cool.
Well, we're excited to get to it. It's gonna be great. However, you are out there gonna watch the show, um, I'm just glad you get the opportunity finally. COVID really
Hmm.
slowed it down. We should have had this a whole year ago, but I
At
think they've
least.
taken advantage of the time, the extra time. So I think the quality is even better than it would have been if we'd gotten it back in 2020.
Hopefully, they don't set the bar so high for themselves that they can't continue to get that high quality in later seasons.
We'll find out. We'll find out. All right, second question. What are some things you are most eager or hopeful to see in this Wheel of Time adaptation? And again,
Um,
not spoiling stuff that's beyond what's already been leaked in the official trailers and such, and what we know from the first three books.
I think the thing that I am most eager to see the film adaptation for, we've already seen some of it in some of the trailers, but it's Shatter Logith. And it's
Hmm.
just because it's one of my favorite places in the books. It's one of the most interesting. And I want to see, what do they actually tell us in the show? What do they show us? And how does it actually play out? Does it give that same feeling that it should from the books?
Okay. I've got a number of things. So you'll probably think of more while I'm talking. Feel free to jump
Oh,
in with
I've got
more.
more. I just figured I'd start with
Okay.
one and we
We should take
bounce.
turns. Very good. Um, I want to see Loyal. They still have
Mm,
hidden him from us. But the Ogier, who is one of their, compatriots in the core group for the show, and he's there, he's cast, he's a real character, but they've chosen to keep that hidden until we get to it in the series. And I don't know if we'll see him already in the first three episodes. I think so, but I'm
I
not
have
sure.
a suspicion that is kind of mean, but also really smart, potentially, as to why they
Okay.
haven't shown us Loyal. And that's that, especially people who don't know Ogier in the books often freak out thinking it's a Trolloc. So I think it's really clever to show us a whole bunch of Trollocs, have us see all this, not have seen Loyal, so that when we first see Loyal, we even might think it's a Trolloc.
Ah. Yeah, well, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. I mean, some of the rumors that are out there that they haven't shown Loyal is because they don't plan to make him up quite as big, quite as tall, quite as Ogier as in the books. Still doing something unique and special, but because they'll show him probably more than they show the Trollocs,
Hmm.
I think it's a cost matter. I mean, that's a lot of CGI. If they've really turned him into what the books describe, I think he's still going to be cool. But I don't think he's going to look all that much like Trollocs.
We'll see.
We will see. What's another thing that you're, eager or hopeful to see?
Sword forms. 100%.
Ah,
I want to see the interpretation of what do sword forms actually look like. And not just, okay, we know sword forms are a thing and then we see fighting, but I want to see some of the training sequences so that these things that we envisioned and imagined and thought were beautiful dances, now we can put what was the artistic interpretation of it.
cue the training montage.
A little
With the
bit.
little 90s background music going. No, that'll be cool because this should look different than just people hacking with swords. I mean, the true blade masters, people at Land's level, Tam's level, those who get that good, we should be able to see it look something different. So that would be exciting. I look forward to that too.
Especially if you can compare some less talented ones that look more hack and slash.
Yes, yeah. I agree with you. I hope there is a significant difference that we can tell, and that it almost looks like a dance amongst the enemies when some of them are at it. Another thing I'm eager to see is the ways. We know from what's been shown in all the official releases that they have way gates. They
I'm
are
not
doing
super
now the way
excited about
gates.
how those look.
Right. I mean, the way gates look very different from the books, but okay, adaptation, different turning of the wheel, that's fine. But they've got a way gate, so they're going through the ways. What have they done with it? Because we know what it looks like in the book. That'll be really tough to pull off. So
I
in
don't
their
know.
adaptation, what have they done with it? I'm excited to see that.
Is it hard to pull off? Maybe. Is it also just really dark and therefore not that hard to pull off? Kind of.
They could just
it's a
put this
lot of
into a
just
sound studio and do it, huh? Yeah.
it's described as a lot of just darkness, and they get the sense that these things are weird like they're seeing, but they don't actually see a lot of it.
All right. Uh, Jordan's comment there with the gates, he wants to see how they, see them activated. See that actual, I mean, what's going to happen? Is it going to be like Stargate and, big thing like that?
What do
Is
you
it
mean
something that'll be...
Stargate? Stargate absolutely like rushed out and back in. There's that whole bit. It chops people off as it's disapparating.
So will we see something like that? Will it be something very
That would be
different?
terrifying.
We'll see. We'll definitely get a chance to see what happens. So, another thing you're excited to see?
Not that I think we'll see in the first season.
Okay.
I've got something in mind that we know up to where we are in the books, but I don't think we'll get there in the first season, personally.
I've got two more things I want to throw in then that I'm particularly excited about. One is simply, I want to see the chemistry between the Emmonsfield Five. How do they play off each other? What do they do with the friendship between Perrin, Rand, Matt? What's Nynaeve like when she's ready to do some thumping? What's the interplay amongst all of them, Egwene included? I'm looking forward to seeing that. I sense they've done a good job with that. And we might get something even better than you could just read off the page, that they may have really brought this to life. And that's something we all want to see. So I'm looking forward to that. The other thing is I want to see, well, Jordan's put it in here. So there it's up on the screen. I want to see the bad guy. Okay. I want to see, and this is, of course, clear in the first book of The Eye of the World. And we're assuming if you're watching this, you've read it. We want to see Balsamon. Is he going to be there? They've hinted at it, but they haven't said for sure. What are we going to see? I want to see how they've created that, what they do with that, and how they put it in. Are there dream sequences throughout the first season where we're going to get appearances of him? Or have they changed that? Are they saving him for the end? Will we not even see him till
big,
season
mysterious
2?
Bad guy kind of thing.
Right. Right.
I would say jumping off that, I also, assuming we get it in season 1, want to know, do they even bother trying to go with Lanfear being the most beautiful, because it's something that, like, as you read it and as you understand it maybe not being perfectly natural,
Think of the
you can
glory.
imagine it, but it's not something that can objectively just be done to a super broad audience on TV. So I'm
We shall
very
see.
curious.
One more thing from the chat that I'm going to throw in, that if you know, you know, we want to see this, right?
That's true.
Steve. Okay, we'll figure it out. Let's move on to our final bulky question here, and
Yeah.
that's simply, what do you hope not to see as we watch the TV series? We're kind of thinking, what do we want to make sure they don't blow, that they don't choose to do, that just crushes us as Wheel of Time fans? What comes to mind?
I don't want to see bad one-liners. I don't want bits and pieces of dialogue to be used as an excuse to try and make a joke. I don't think it'll happen, but I think there are places that you could be very tempted to do it. And it could be entertaining,
Mm-hmm.
but it doesn't
Mm-hmm.
feel right.
Yeah, I'm sensing they've had some quality writing going on in this show, so I'm
Mm-hmm.
not worried about that, but I would
Exactly. I'm
agree. I
not
wouldn't want to see
worried.
it.
I just don't want to see it.
Another thing that I'll throw in then that I don't want to see, it's kind of hard to describe, but what I really hope has happened in preparing this show, and Rafe Judkins, we're talking to you here, okay? Because I know you're watching our podcast, probably live under a pseudonym right now. Is there a Steve in there somewhere? Okay. So, Rafe, I want to know that you have all 8 seasons, I'm going with 8 still, planned out. You've got it outlined, so that what we see in season 1, even what we see in the first 3 episodes, are things that work in the flow of putting the entire Wheel of Time series to screen over a number of series. And we're not seeing stuff that they're going to have to go back and retcon,
You
fix,
don't want to
mess
see
up.
continuity errors.
Right. Or that they're shoehorning things into the story just because we want to do this here. Wheel of Time as a series is famous for the books kind of near the latter half, 7, 8, 9, maybe 10, where people like to describe a slog, where it kind of wanders a little bit. And RJ was laying out a whole bunch of great content, developing plot lines, and he knew where he was going. And
Mm-hmm.
honestly, you just read the book series now, it doesn't feel particularly sloggy because you're going right to the next book and the next book and the next book.
It just apparently felt that way when you had to wait for the next one to come out
Yes,
and
it's
felt
like,
like
where are
nothing
we
had really
going with
happened.
this? Right, right. But I don't want anything in this show to end up feeling kind of sloggy or wandering or what? Why is this here? There's a lot of TV shows that do that. Well, you'll get this random episode that's just, that's not right. What?
So what I'm hearing is we avoid doing the Wheel of Time musical episode.
Yes, please. We do not want that. We do not want that kind of
I would
episode.
be interested in it as a bonus content, like just extras on when it is out on DVD or something.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be cool. And I think they're gonna have stuff like that. They might even have it right at the end of episodes, that there's a little bit of that. The behind the scenes talking about how we produced it and all that.
Hmm.
Yeah. Anything else particularly strong for you that you don't want to see?
I think I'm actually pretty open. Um, I when I accept that it's another turning of the wheel, I'm willing to go with a lot of things that are given. Um, so I think if anything, the only little piece that I would hope we don't see quite as much is, while Robert Jordan did a wonderful job giving differences between gender roles within his books and exploring the play between those. It's very interesting. It also is very dangerous in a modern context for TV to not appear just horribly offensive in a lot of ways. So, and again, I am very trusting in that I think we're going to see something that's both honest and yet also respectful.
hmm hmm Jordan put in the comments here something worthwhile. I'll put it up on the screen here now. We don't want to see a loose collection of the greatest hits of Wheel of Time moments just being crammed in. Now, I'm going to say yes and no to that because I will love if there's a whole bunch of those deeper elements that are scattered throughout, but just background things. Where if you're a big fan, you're gonna go, "Oh, that's that guy," and they don't even highlight it or mention
Yeah.
it. It's there. So as we're rewatching, just like we reread, that there will be all these Easter eggs, all these extra things that we can enjoy and benefit from,
Oh,
but they're
yeah.
not distracting from the main story that's being told.
That's a treasure trove just waiting for content creators like us. So go ahead and put all those things very subtly in there. We'll appreciate it.
That's right. There you go. All right. That's about, I think, what we wanted to talk about in this
Hmm.
particular episode when it comes to what we're excited about for Wheel of Time, the TV series. I hope you all look forward to watching the show just like we do and that you really love what you see. But before we wrap up for today,
Okay.
our podcast focuses on working our way through the Wheel of Time, but it also takes time to drop other episodes on different sorts of content because we love Wheel of Time, but we love fantasy fiction overall.
And eventually, we'll be done with content for the Wheel of Time and need to go somewhere else as well.
Now, that'll probably still take another 3 years, but
But,
yeah.
we'll be around.
But so in light of that, thought we'd talk about just a couple of last things that have nothing to do with Wheel of Time then before we
Let's
close
do
up.
it.
So one is simply to mention again that, you know, love all different types of fantasy fiction, and that's a
Yes.
broad range when we talk about it. I mean, fantasy includes anything fantastical to us. So sci-fi, we allow to fall into this. Horror, we haven't covered a lot of horror yet, but just wait, we'll get
But
there. We'll
definitely
throw
at
something in.
times. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll mention it. And as we enjoy literature and all this different kind of content, one of the things we've done recently is start our own Twitter tournament, which is going on right now still, the Try Reader Tournament. So I want to point people to it. Go take a look at our
Hmm.
Twitter account, follow us there, and we'll have, and we do lots of polls over time, but this is a more broad thing where we asked people to think of if you've got somebody you want to get hooked on fantasy fiction and they're a reader already. I mean, they do read, but they haven't
That
done
is a
fantasy.
prerequisite.
Yeah, kind of. What would be 3 books that you'd recommend as a great gateway into this genre? And so people put those forward, and now we're voting on them. And it's a great poll because we've got so many people who've made recommendations, and I've had to add some books to my TBR.
Yeah.
Anybody who checks it out, I think, will find books like that too.
While you
Have
may
you
have read many of them, there is bound to be at least one that someone thinks is a great start and you haven't had it.
Have you seen some in there that you're thinking,
Oh,
"Oh, yeah,
definitely.
yeah,
I haven't read like half of them.
but that you plan to now?"
Definitely. Do I have a 300, 400, 700 page not page, book long list? No, I don't write it down like you do. But you have that long of a list.
Yes, about 300 books right now. All right, so go check out the tournament. If you're catching this, today, soon, the tournament is still underway. We're about to start the semifinals tomorrow and
Mhm.
a couple semifinals, and then we'll have a final later this week. So you can still get in on the voting, but even if it's done, it's all there in our thread. Check it out. See what people recommended.
Definitely.
The other thing is we're excited about the Wheel of Time adaptation, but there was another big adaptation that came to the screen just
There
recently.
was.
Yeah, we've talked about it on our podcast, but you hadn't seen it when we talked about it before, and that is Dune, the new Dune
Yes.
movie. And I understand you have seen it now.
I have seen it. I went ahead and watched it. It was a fun time. Um,
Do you recommend it?
I do. I think it was a good, entertaining movie. I do have some issues.
Oh, pray tell.
Um, the biggest issue that I actually had with the movie Had nothing to do with the quality, nothing to do with the acting, not even really the storytelling within the movie itself. Um, but rather that it felt like only maybe half of a movie. It didn't tell the full story I wanted it to. It
Mm-hmm.
necessitated a sequel or sequels,
Mm-hmm.
which is a good
Mm-hmm.
and fine thing if you tell like complete stories and then you move on to more stories and it's a running thing. But it hurts that I want to see it, and some people describe it, you describe it as leaving you wanting more, and that's a great thing. I don't personally entirely agree that it's the best thing. Just because I want the narrative to be told in a format that feels complete if it's a movie. It's why
Okay.
I'm more excited about the Wheel of Time, because it's a TV series and I think it's a better medium. We get 10 hours of content for this first season and we know the story's not done.
Okay. I think Dune was a really faithful adaptation,
Mhm.
but certainly the story is not done. And unless you were really paying close attention, it was easy for people to miss this was only going to be part one. And
Mhm.
so there's some shady marketing, perhaps. That's about the only
Mhm.
thing I'd really have an issue with, though. You know, you get to it and it's Dune, and oh, part one, and they
I
leave
mean,
you hanging at the end. It's like what? But I think some
very
people probably
minor
went and saw it and did
spoilage,
not know that was going to be the case.
very minor spoilerage. Zendaya was marketed hugely in it, barely in the movie. She'll be
Right?
a bigger part of the next one, but barely in this one.
So could totally see some people being disappointed by that. Yep.
Yeah,
But looking forward to when the second one comes out, whenever that does. I haven't checked yet, but I'll watch it. I enjoyed the first one.
I
Definitely.
definitely will watch it. I wish that the marketing had been done differently, I guess. I think that's fair.
There you go. All right. That's what we'll call this bring this to a wrap. Thanks for being here with us, everybody watching, whether you're watching this later or you're listening to it in our feed. We always appreciate people who take the time to consume what we're putting out there, as my son and I just have fun talking about fantasy stuff. We do look forward to doing more live stream events like this. So if you want to make
Hmm.
sure you don't miss any of those, I suggest you subscribe to our YouTube channel. That way you'll know what's there. I mean, all our audio podcasts are there as well, but other things we've done in collaboration with other content creators are already here on the channel, and more live streams in the future. You'll be able to find those. Uh, of course, I want to plug our Discord server. That's a great place to continue to converse with us, and you'd always see when our content's coming out because we put it there.
Definitely.
But we've got a whole group, great people, community of fantasy fiction fans that are on there all the time talking about Wheel of Time and Dune and uh, Rhyria. I haven't read that yet, but Emmeline's with us today. I know she loves that. It's on my
Let's hope you
TBR.
pronounced it
Yeah, I
correctly.
hope I said it right. I think it's the Rhyria Chronicles. I think so. Anyways, anything you want to talk about fantasy fiction, there's a place for you on our Discord server. So that's there. You can also join our various social medias: Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. We even have an email. So all of the ways to find those things, you can just look for Fantasy for the Ages, but I'll put notes in the eventual recording here as well here in YouTube. So I'll make it easy for you to find us if you want to find us.
Definitely.
Anything else, Zach, that we should say
I've
today?
got nothing.
All right. Again, thanks for being here, and we'll talk to you next time.